Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's Mataji's and Pranam, all glory Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glory to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. Hare Krishna. We will start now. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Bhakta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Givim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschapya Deshatarine Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we will be discussing from the second canto, second chapter. The name of the chapter is The Lord in the Heart. We saw the previous chapter, chapter first is where Sukadev Goswami, he started speaking. He described the process of Ashtanga. First, he described the ultimate goal is to continuously chant the holy name. Hare Namanu Kirtanam, described the process of bhakti. Then Sukadev Goswami, he saw that many people were from different, like many sages, were from different path. Some are the followers of Karma Kanda, some are followers of Ashtanga Yoga. So he described the path of Ashtanga Yoga. That there are 8 steps starting from Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyaharam, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. And then he described there are 2 kind of yogis. those who are very advanced, their dharana ashraya, or what they meditate on after the stage of pratyahara. If you remember, asana is physical exercise to control the body, then pranayama is breath to control the mind, and then pratyahara is withdraw the senses from the sense object, which is not possible unless the body and mind is peaceful, because natural tendency of the mind is to merge into sense object, and this pranayam helps to withdraw the mind. And once the mind is not engaged in the sense object, then the mind needs to be, if the mind is peaceful, then the mind needs to be um, absorbed by practice in like take shelter, take ashray. Um, and those who are beginners, they absorb the mind in the Virat Rupa. And the last chapter describes in detail the Virat Rupa, starting from the legs on the way to the head, to the eyes, to the smile, um, sun, moon, and we saw many things. The trees are like the hairs, Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, um, Kshatriya, different part of the body. In this way, we saw the different planetary system in the body of the Virat Rupa. So then one can absorb the mind in thinking of that sun and moon as the eyes of the Lord. And the hairs are like the clouds. So there's the description. And now that's where first chapter ends. Now, second chapter. Sukadev Goswami says, like, some people may have question, can you think of any benefit by meditating on Virat Rupa? Is anybody benefited? So Sukadev Goswami starts by this verse which says, Brahma created the universe by meditating on the Virat Rupa. He, Brahma, he heard the word tapa, and then after tapa, then he started meditating his mind on the Virat Rupa, universal form. And by that he got the intelligence, the Shakti, the guidance of how to create the universe. So that is also very beneficial. We see, I mean, all this section, previous section, this section, next section, matches with Krishna's description in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna also showed this universal form, and he said, this is for less intelligent people, but the most rare form. When he showed his two-armed form, then Krishna said that this form that you are seeing now is most rare. Those who are not austere, those who are not devoted, etc., cannot see this form of mine, which is the best of all. Then there were some, after describing benefit of meditating on Virat Rupa with the example of Brahma, then there were some who are followers of Karma Kanda. Karma Kanda section is, they follow the path of the Vedas, and in Vedas, the next chapter deals with this in more detail, Karma Kanda section. The Vedas, certain section or most of the section of the Vedas, they describe how to gain some material, how to fulfill material desires, like worshipping Durga, worshipping Ganesh, worshipping, and what benefit you get. So this is Karma Kanda. Or by doing this, you go in the heavenly planets. So first, Sukadev Goswami rejects the path of Karma Kanda. He says that the path of Vedas leads to heaven and give only temporary pleasure. And he compared to those pleasure like the pleasure in a dream. If we, when we dream, we see some, we may attain some material pleasure, but how long the pleasure remains with us? Once we wake up, the pleasure is gone. So likewise, in this life also, we may be attracted to some pleasures, some material desires. But how long that desire will remain with us? When we leave this body, those pleasures that we meditate are gone. So in a dream, one can enjoy for few hours, and in this life one can enjoy for few years, and then that pleasure is gone. So Sukadev Goswami calls this kind of pleasure as meaningless because it is based on bodily conception of life, and the body is gone. So just like a dream looks very important, but meaningless. So Sukadev Goswami says that's why one should not look to fulfill material desires. And he says one should live in this world with bare minimum necessities. And if we see second chapter of first canto Bhagavatam, Suda Goswami says the same thing. The purpose of Varnashram Dharma is to please the Lord. Whatever one should do should be meant to please the Lord. And then should not one work for oneself? Yes, one should work for oneself to maintain the bare necessities. Rupa Goswami also describes the principle of Yukta Vairagya. Whatever can be used in Krishna service, you accept. Whatever cannot be used in Krishna service, there is no need. So here, Sukadev Goswami says, rather live with minimum necessities, rather than following the path of Vedas and fulfilling material desires. And those desires are meaningless because they are like pleasures in a dream and just goes away with time when the body is gone. So one should focus on realizing the Lord and not focus much on enjoying this world and live with bare necessities just to keep the body and soul together. Now, what does it mean to live with bare necessities, keeping the body in mind, keeping the body and soul together? So, Sukadev Goswami gives an example. He says, when the earth is flat, why cots and beds? Why do we need cots and beds when we have flat earth? When we have arms, why need pillows? When we have palms, why need utensils? When we have the skins of trees, why need clothing? When are there no torn clothes on the road that we can use? Are the trees, do the trees don't give charity anymore? Because you can go to any tree and take any fruit. So do they not give charity anymore? Are the rivers dried up? Are the mountain caves closed? Are there no caves in the mountain? Does the Lord don't protect the surrendered anymore? And those who are surrendered to the Lord, does the Lord don't give them protection? Then why then flatten the proud rich people? Why flatten them? In other words, Sukadeva Goswami is giving his stand. That's how Sukadeva Goswami would live. He would not wear any clothes actually. So he's condemning the path of karma kanda. The pleasure comes from that. Is like pleasure in a dream, stay for a few hours and then goes away. So the goal of one's life should be focusing on the Lord and becoming more Krishna conscious and attain the perfection of life. And work only sufficient, whatever is needed to keep the body and soul together. Now, we may not follow these principles. I don't follow these principles. But this is the standard of Sukadev Goswami. So he sets a very high standard of what it takes to keep the body and soul together. We hear many times keep the body and soul together. But what is Sukadev Goswami's standard? How to keep body and soul together. And we can use whatever minimum is required in our own lives. Then Sukadev Goswami says, thus with minimum necessities, one should worship the super soul. Don't focus there. Just sustain the life there and worship the super soul and focus on attaining liberation. Then he says, the intelligent people, they can see that people are suffering from their own actions. Whatever, like people are trying very hard in this material world. to get what they want. And what is the reaction of trying very hard? Is they create karma, and there's a mix of good and bad karma, and then they are suffering. The suffering of the people is because of their own activities. So only those who are gross materialist will still continue performing action to acquire things. Although they are suffering because they're gross materialists, they still continue to accumulate more and more. But those who are intelligent, they can see they are trying so hard to accumulate more and more. And what is the result? The result is they are more deeply entrenched in the path of suffering. So those who are, and they who are gross materialist, um, they work very hard, and the reaction is that brings suffering, and then they reject the path of liberation, and they are, or for us, they reject the path of Krishna consciousness. They are so absorbed to enjoy this material world, and they are suffering so much. And then they reject the path of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. So first, this is the first section of the chapter. Sukadeva Goswami rejects the path of karma kanda, or seeking pleasure in this world, and promotes the path of simple living and high thinking. Prabhupada says, simple living, high thinking. And now, continuing the path of Ashtanga Yoga. So in this chapter, Sukadeva Goswami goes to the path of yoga. First, he went and rejected karma kanda. Now he will explain the path of yoga, and then he will describe detail about the path of yoga, and then comes back to the path of bhakti and says how the path of bhakti is the topmost. And we see same theme in the first chapter and second chapter. First chapter began, but there were some people who think that what one should do at the end of the life is practice Ashtanga Yoga. So he's giving his like first. Now Sukadeva Goswami will further explain the path, how one attain liberation through the path of Ashtanga Yoga. And now listen that. So we discussed the stage of dharana, where one fixes the mind, or practicing fixing the mind to focus on either Virat Rupa or Super Soul. Those who are attached focus on Virat Rupa. Those who are advanced, they focus on Super Soul. So how to focus on the Super Soul? So Sukadeva Goswami says, the Super Soul resides in the region of the heart. The Super Soul is 8 inches long. In the region of the heart, 8 inches long, means this much is the size of the Super Soul. But naturally, there is the heart, there is the organ, there is blood, there is everything. But Super Soul is spiritual by nature. So he doesn't need any space from material perspective, but he's residing in that region. Just like the soul can enter through the matter, and there is no obstruction, they can overlap. So the super soul is residing in the region of the heart, 8 inches long. The super soul has 4 hands, and there is a conch, there is a club, there is a lotus, and there is a disc. Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. These are 4. Then his mouth has a slight smile expressing happiness. His eyes are lotus-like petals. His garments are yellowish, like the saffron of kadamba flower. Some kadamba flower has saffron color, so that kind of yellow, not really yellow, but like a saffron of a kadamba flower. He wears the ornaments. His ornaments are made of gold, set with jewels. There are multicolored jewels within the gold. Then his head shines because of the helmet, and then his dress is very shining. It's shiny yellowish, and his earrings are very shiny. Then on the chest, he wears a Kaustuba jewel. um, in a gold necklace. There is a Kaustuba jewel, which is engraved with a calf. There is a calf picture in his Kaustuba jewel. His torso is garlanded with fresh flowers, and he also wears a ornamental belt and his torso. There is pitambari dhoti, and then there is a belt, and above that there is a fresh flower garland. Then there are other jewels on his shoulders. He has bangles, and he has on his shoulders also there are jewels, here jewels, on the head jewels, earrings, slight smile, lotus-like eyes. Then he has rings with valuable jewels on his fingers. So in this way, there's a description of. So first, in the previous chapter, Sukadev Goswami described the Virat Rupa description, and here he is describing the Lord in the heart. That because of this section, the name of the chapter is the Lord in the heart. So then one should meditate on this form and let the meditation become more and more concentrated. That's what dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Meditate, meditate, meditate. And if the mind goes towards sense object, then again go back to asana and pranayama, make the mind peaceful, and then again focus on the Lord. And then one should focus on the Lord one limb at a time, like just focus on the lotus feet. For days or months, it is their practice. They sit and make the mind peaceful, and then just focus on the lotus feet. When it is done, then go to the calves and the thighs and the knees of the Lord, and then the torso, then the shoulder, then the hands, and then the head, the curly hairs, the forehead, the eyes, the nose, the ears, and at last go to the smile. We just meditate on the smile of the Lord, and then the whole smiling face of the Lord, and then the whole form of the Lord. So this is the practice. Meditate one limb at a time, from the lotus feet to the smile, to the smiling face, to the whole body. And by doing this, the intelligence is gradually purified. Some people practice meditation, but the meditation is more like um, either flow of energy in the body, feel your limbs, feel the environment around you. So those things will not purify us. And that's why Sukadev Goswami says how to meditate on the super soul, one limb at a time. And by this process, because the Lord is the focus, the intelligence is gradually purified. For Bhakti yogis, the intelligence is gradually purified by chanting, just by chanting, by chanting, by chanting. The whole chitta, subtle body, is purified. For them, it's the path of meditation. Dhyato Vishyan Pumsi. Kritaya Dhyato Vishnu. In Satya Yoga, the path was meditation, and this was the path. And then Sukadev Goswami says, those who are not inclined to meditate, there are some yogis who don't want to meditate. It means they don't have that much sukriti. So those who are not inclined to meditate in this devotional way, they should meditate on Virat Rupa. Just like Krishna consciousness, not everybody is willing to chant because they don't have that sukriti. So they don't like to chant. So Prabhupada says, okay, you can either chant and attain perfection. If you don't want to chant, then you can listen to the philosophy. And we have so many books. And through that, you come to the point of chanting. And either one is okay. So some will take it up directly and some will not. So now how these yogis who meditate the mind on the super soul, how they attain liberation. And then Sukadeva Goswami describes the whole process. So now he has described the process of dharana. You follow the do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts means you go to the forest. Krishna describes them. Yama and niyama. You practice celibacy. You sit on a seat, not too high, not too low, on a deer skin. Don't engage in sinful activities. Yeah. So these are do's and don'ts. And practice asana in the forest, pranayam. Remove the mind, free the mind from the sense object by doing pranayama, by breath work, and then you meditate on the super soul, and one limb at a time. And then slowly, as the intelligence is purified, impure intelligence will produce many desires. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kuru nandana. Bahushaka anantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. He says, those who are resolute and their intelligence single branched, ekeha kuru nandana. They have one pointed intelligence. And for the Ashtanga yogi, they are fully focused on the Lord. Bahushaka anantascha. And those who are not resolute in purpose, their intelligence many branched. Their intelligence is many branched. They have many desires. So now after dharana, then dhyan, and then samadhi. And then what happens gradually? The mind merges into intelligence. So mind naturally has this function of accept and reject and repeat the pleasurable activities from the past. So all these functions of mind disappears, and the mind becomes one with intelligence, and intelligence is discrimination. So one is fully focused on discrimination and um, focusing on the Lord. And then the intelligence along with the mind merges into the soul, which basically means that the person, the yogi, he acts on a completely spiritual platform, as if there is no mind and intelligence existing for him. All the material desires come from mind intelligence anyways, right? So now he's on a completely spiritual platform. He's on a soul platform. He completely identifies himself as part and parcel of the Lord. And then the soul merges into the super soul. Merges into super soul means his existence is in a way non-existent, and he is completely aligned, and this is the stage of samadhi, and he's completely focused on the Lord. And he can do that either for days, months, years, or forever, based on the level of samadhi one has attained. There is no desire, there is no hunger, there is no thirst. Um, there are no thoughts. There is no misidentification. The body merged into intelligence, intelligence merged into soul, the soul merged into super soul, means he is completely focused. For him, only the Lord exists. And there is no disturbance, because disturbance also comes from the mind anyways. No? So in the stage of samadhi, it's like perfected stage. And then Sukadeva Goswami says, at that times he becomes free from the influence of false subtle body. It's not that mind intelligence don't exist anymore, but like how it is explained, the path of yoga means body, mind, and soul are aligned, and they're all aligned in the super soul. This is what actual yoga means. Yoga means now we are connected. So the influence of subtle body is not there. The desires are not there. The false ego doesn't exist. False ego means at the level of intellect, false ego exists. I am there and soul is there. But at the level of soul, there is just soul. There is no identification with false ego. Three modes don't exist. Three modes also exist through mind and intelligence when they are merged into soul and into super soul. So nothing material exists for him. And then at that stage, when he is completely absorbed in the Lord, then he can raise the life air from Mooladhara Chakra. Mooladhara Chakra is in the anus, and there are 7 chakras. Then between the eyes, there is Agya Chakra. Then all the chakras are described. And then on the head, there is Sahasrara Chakra. So life air goes from there to the region of chest, to neck, to mouth, to the middle of the eyes, and the life air, which is pran, which is the soul, goes to from Agya Chakra to Sahasrara Chakra, and then break the head, and it is fully focused um, on the Lord, and then attain liberation. So this is the path taken by the advanced yogi, and that's how the advanced yogi becomes liberated. This is the whole process of Ashtanga Yoga. And then there are those who are not very advanced, and they are not inclined to meditate on the super soul in their home. So for them, the process works like this. They also go to the forest. They practice celibacy. um, sit on a seat, not too high, not too low, on a deer skin, so the lower animals like snake and scorpion doesn't attack them. Then they practice asana, they practice pranayama, they perform sense control. The mind is very peaceful, and then they start meditating on limb by limb on the Virat Rupa of the Lord. And there is nothing spiritual there, um, but the universe, meditating on the sun, meditation on the moon, meditation on the trees, meditation on the different planets in the universe, meditation on the clouds, meditation on the sky, meditation, and then they meditate on, and they meditate this with respect to this, the Lord as the nature, and how different angas, and they read, and based on that, based on one of their description, they meditate on matter and relate it with the Virat Rupa, the universal form of the Lord. And then suppose when their meditation is in this way, and they give up their body at that point of time. I mean, for years they're meditating on Virat Rupa, and they give up their body. So then the subtle body, the mind intelligence is still there for them. They're not very advanced. So the soul with the super soul in the region of the heart, and then the mind intelligence, the living entity with the subtle body, they goes to the sun planet. And when they cross the sun planet, they are cleansed of all material desires just by crossing that. And then they go to the middle of the universe, which is compared to the navel of Lord Vishnu, which is called the pivot of turning of the universe. They go to that region. Then they go further. They go to Maharlok. Um, Maharlok is the fourth higher planet. And then there's a description of Maharlok, that when there are two kind of annihilation, there is partial annihilation, there is complete annihilation. Partial annihilation happens at the end of the day of Brahma, and during partial annihilation, all the planets up to Swarglok are destroyed. So Maharlok is above Swarglok. So Ananta Shesh, who is at the bottom of the universe, he produces fire, and from the fire, all the lower regions with earth, Bhulok, Bhuvarlok, and Swarglok, these 10 planetary systems are destroyed. And there is a fierce fire. And the people in Maharlok, they still alive, but when they see the fierce fire coming, the heat from burning of the first 10 planetary system, the heat of the fire reaches up to Maharlok also. And they feel the heat, so they go higher to Janalok or Taplok. They empty the planet, and when everything is destroyed, they come back. But their main residence is Maharlok. So they go to Maharlok in the subtle body. And from there, I mean, it's not that they go to sun planet, not that they're just passing by. They stay in Maharlok, they practice some meditation there. And from there, they go to Janalok, Tapalok, then they go to Brahmalok. Brahmalok is where Brahma resides, it's also called Satyalok. There's a description of Brahmalok. There is no lamentation there. There is no old age. There is no disease. There is no death. Death not there means when the universe is destroyed, they go back to the body of Mahavishnu, and it's created, they come back again. But there is no death as long as basically their life is as long as the life of the universe. So Brahmalok, but they do feel compassion for people in the lower planet, seeing the suffering of non-devotees, resident of Brahmalok, they feel compassionate to them. A very advanced stage also, Brahmalok. And then they have two options. They can either wait till the end of the universe, and they can become liberated along with Brahma. And if they don't want to wait that long, then they can gradually pierce the earth. And the universe has 7 coverings. There is earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. And it is said that every covering is 10 times thicker than the previous covering. So earth covering is X, say X million miles. Then water covering will be 10x million miles. Then earth, water, fire covering will be 100 X million miles. Then air covering will be 1000 X million miles. Then um, ether covering will be 10,000. Then there is mind covering, intelligence covering, and false ego covering. And as they go beyond the earth element, they lose the earth element from their existence when they cross the earth element. Likewise, when they cross the mind element, they become free from the mind. When they cross the intelligence, they cross the intelligence covering, they get rid of that subtle body also. Then the last is false ego, then they give up that, and then now they don't identify with the subtle body at all. Then they cross the Mahatattva and the Pradhan, which is the very source of material nature. And then they enter into Brahma. So Prabhupada says people can go and attain liberation even from Brahma Lok, but they are rare. So now this is the description of um, the path of Ashtanga Yoga. So beginning with the Karma Kanda, they follow the path of Vedas. Krishna says the Vedas mainly deal with the three modes or material desires. So Krishna says, Arjuna, don't be attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas. Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna. Go beyond the three modes. But the Vedas only deal with the three modes, so no need to take shelter of the Vedas. Don't be attracted. Why? Gives you the path of material desire, how to fulfill, and more discussion on Karma Kanda is the third chapter that we will discuss next week, Krishna willing. So you go Karma Kanda. First, it is rejected. Don't look for pleasures, and that's why live a simple life. Whatever is needed to keep the body and soul together. How simple can it go? Sukadev Goswami gives an example. And then those who don't go this route, whose goal is not the Lord, they work very hard. They are bound by the action reaction because they are working very hard. And then that leads to suffering. So they want happiness and ultimately they get a lot of suffering. So which intelligent people other than who are gross materialists will go to the path of Karma Kanda? And now coming to the path of how to attain liberation to Ashtanga Yoga. Then there are two paths. Those who meditate on Virat Rupa, they become so advanced that they can merge and they can get rid of the mind intelligence by merging and are established at the level of super soul and then enter into Brahman or Vaikuntha planet. They enter there, attain liberation. But those who are not so advanced, they meditate on the Virat Rupa and they gradually go and they have still material desires. So through sun planet, when they pass, they free from material desire. And slowly, they perform a lot of austerities. And slowly as they pierce the universe, they get rid of all the subtle body. And when they become completely spiritualized, they also attain Brahman. It's a long path. But meditate on super soul is a short path. And then finally, Sukadev Goswami says, so what I can, okay, let me discuss the end of the chapter. Finally, Sukadev Goswami gives his own opinion. And Sukadev Goswami answers, what is the duty of a man who is about to die in 7 days? So Sukadev Goswami says the best path is the path of bhakti to Vasudeva. It is higher than Karma Kanda, it is higher than the meditation on Super Soul or meditation Virat Rupa. It directly takes shelter of Vasudeva. So he says there is no better path than Bhakti Yoga to Vasudeva. And then Sukadev Goswami says Brahma, who holds the Vedas, he scrutinizingly studied the Vedas 3 times with complete attention and concentration. And after studying with complete attention and concentration, Brahma came to the conclusion that the path that leads to attachment to Krishna is the highest. The path that leads to attachment to Krishna is the highest. Why? Because they can at max attain Brahma Lok or lower Vaikuntha planets. But attachment to Krishna directly takes one without this arduous activity. It's very hard, Ashtanga Yoga. This path is very hard. Prabhupada says in this age people cannot follow because how many people can perfectly follow celibacy? Plus the life is so short that one cannot attain that level of meditation, that level of samadhi in this few 40-50 years life. What is 40-50 years? People would have 100,000 years and they can practice. And it's a very long, arduous, difficult path and requires a lot of tapa, a lot of austerity. So what can people do in this age of Kali? That's why the simplest path is given, which is chanting of the holy names. That's how Sukadev Goswami starts in the beginning. Hare Namanu Kirtanam. Whether you have material desire, whether you are full of material desire, no material desire, whether you are desiring liberation, the short way to attain perfection is constant Hare Namanu Kirtanam. Constant chanting of the holy name can give you that perfection. It is Prabhupada used to say what the great yogis cannot describe, cannot um, attain by 100,000 years of severe austerities in Satya Yoga can attain by few years of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds, can attain a higher perfection than that, because directly take us to Golok Vrindavan. Krishna also says, after describing the path of Karma Yoga, the path of Jnana Yoga, path of Ashtanga Yoga, then Krishna says at the end of 6th chapter in Bhagavad Gita that the best yogi is one who always thinks of me within the heart. Basically, Bhakti Yogi. And Krishna also says to Uddhava in 11th Canto, he says, to those who are too attached, take the path of Karma Yoga. Those who are too disgusted with this material, who are too miserable in this material, who take the path of this Ashtanga, go to the forest and leave everything. But those who are balanced, they directly take shelter of me and they directly come to me. Those who take shelter of me directly come to me. So Brahma, after scrutinizingly studying 3 times the Vedas with attention, came to the conclusion that the path that leads to attachment to Krishna is the best path. And then Sukadeva Goswami says, therefore, glorify, remember, and hear the Lord always and every way. And this is his conclusion. Therefore, always hear, always remember, and always glorify. This is the path of Shravanam and Kirtanam. Always hear, always glorify. Very easy path. And by this we can attain attachment to Krishna. And by this we can attain the highest planet of Vrindavan. We will read this verse in more detail. And then the last verse of this chapter, then Sukadeva Goswami says, what is the effect of hearing the nectarian messages of Lord Krishna? What is the effect of hearing Krishna Katha? He says 2 things will happen. First, purify the polluted aim of life. That desire for material enjoyment will go away. Devotee asks Prabhupada, how do we know if we have made spiritual progress? Prabhupada says material desires will go away and spiritual desires will increase. You become more attached to Krishna. That means you are making progress. So what is the effect of hearing Hari Katha, Krishna Katha? Material enjoyment, purify the polluted aim of life. Shukadeva Goswami described as polluted aim of life. If you see outside, most of people are running to fulfill material desires. Their goal is material desires and going up the ladder or whatever they want in life. That's their goal. So it's called polluted aim of life. Shukadeva Goswami describes it as the pleasure in the dream. And the second benefit of hearing Hari Katha is they will attain the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So the polluted aim of life, which is material enjoyment, will go away, and they will naturally attain the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. The devotees who are practicing or chanting Hare, like Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, one devotee asked Prabhupada, what do you think while chant Hare Krishna? Prabhupada says, I am massaging the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Prabhupada also says one can control the mind by thinking about the Lord Krishna. Prabhupada says others, they fall down. Even the yogis or the Brahmavadis, or they fall down even after attaining Brahman realization because they have no knowledge about the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. So Prabhupada is fixed in the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. But then Prabhupada is not doing asana, he is not doing pranayama, and he is not doing pratyahara. He is just spreading Krishna consciousness movement. And he is hearing about Krishna and he is glorifying Krishna. And whoever he is meeting, he is discussing, he is telling about Krishna. That's the path Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us. We don't see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sitting in one place and doing severe silent meditation for years and doing severe austerity. He would take prasad with his devotees, he would perform chant and dance kirtan. And then we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstasy. He was completely absorbed in Krishna, in the mood of Sri Radha. So he came to teach by his own example how to attain perfection through the path of Bhakti Yoga. And this is the path that we follow. So now I have one slide that I want to show everyone. I will share my screen. So can devotee see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Okay, so this is one slide. Can you see the slide? Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama.
Yeah,
Yes,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay, so yama niyama is do's and don'ts. Asana is physical posture. Pranayama is breath work. Pratyahara, you withdraw, and then you see desire. You check the desire. See if we have material. Those who have material desire. Those who don't have material desire, they are detached yogi, and their dharana ashray. The next stage is dharana. They hold Paramatma in their mind, and how they hold Paramatma in the mind is described by Sukadeva Goswami. But those who have material desire, they are attached yogi, their dharana ashray, the shelter of their concentration is Virat Rupa. And then they see if after meditating on Virat Rupa, do they still have desires after for many years? If they become free from desire by meditating on Virat Rupa, then they can start meditating on Paramatma if no desire, and then they can go to the next path. But those who have material desire, then they go to Vaishwanara Loka. Vaishwanara Loka is the sun planet. Then from there, this is after giving up their body. If they have material desire, attached yogi meditated throughout his life on Virat Rupa, gave up his body, but has material desire, go to the planet of sun. Then Shishumar Loka is the pivot of Lord Vishnu, the central point of the universe. They pass through that. Then they go to Mahar Loka, which we'll discuss. They go to Brahma Loka. Then they changes from earth, water, fiery, airy, ether, pierces false ego, pierces Mahatattva, pierces Pradhan. They go up and up and up from Brahma Loka. They can either wait at Brahma Loka and die with Brahma Loka and attain liberation along with Brahma, or they can pierce through their whatever sadhana they do and attain liberation by piercing all the way. This is one path. But those whose dharana is Paramatma, they can do dhyan and samadhi, and they can merge their mind into intelligence, intelligence into soul, soul into super soul. Now they're fully focused on the Lord, no disturbance on the subtle body, attain Brahman realization. Sapta Chakra Yoga, uplift the pran from Mooladhara to Agya Chakra to Sahasrara Chakra, and finally they break the head and they attain liberation. So these are the two paths that Ashtanga yogis take. Is it clear? The path of Ashtanga Yoga?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you for the slide. Thank you.
Not my slide. But yeah, it explains well though.
Prabhuji, is it possible to share this slide in the chat?
Mata, you are saying something, but we are not able to hear you.
Is it possible to share the slide through
Share,
chat?
yes.
Prabhuji?
Yes,
Great.
it's, yeah, everything that exists in this laptop is yours, all of yours. So I will send this to Shri Kumari Radha Mataji and she can put in the group this slide.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Then Pranam Himanshu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one question. So in this both the path, there is no possibility to get into the stuck into the Brahman, Brahma Jyoti. Is there any possibility to stuck in Brahma Jyoti and don't get forward to the liberation?
Yeah, interestingly, in this chapter, I mean, I was also thinking about it because I have heard from in a particular lecture from authorized sources that if they meditate on Paramatma, which is the form of Narayan, then they go to Vaikuntha. Ashtanga yogi can attain Paramatma realization, which is form of Narayan, because it's a personal form of Narayan, they go to Vaikuntha. But here it is described in Samadhi, if they meditate on Paramatma, then they go and they attain Brahman realization. So from this slide, it seems like both of them attain Brahman realization. But either way, they either attain Brahman realization is Brahma Jyoti Prabhu. So they can go up to Brahma Jyoti, or if what I have heard, if that is authorized, then they also can go up to Vaikuntha Loka Max.
So from Samadhi, they cannot directly go to liberation, because this slide is telling it go through Brahma Jyoti and then they get the liberation to the lower Vaikuntha planet. Is that correct understanding with looking at this slide,
Oh,
Prabhupada?
yeah. I mean, Brahman realization here means that when they are doing Samadhi, they are merged into Brahman already in that body. And the process is through uplifting the pran, like the mind into intelligence, intelligence into soul, soul into super soul, completely absorbed in super soul. And then they raise their life air, but they are still on this planet. Now they raise the life air, and then they break, and then they attain that Brahman realization means they have realized it, but they have not gone there physically.
Okay.
They have realized it.
So, but there is no possibility in Karma Kanda that they can attain Brahma Jyoti. They can, impossible, right?
Karmakanda attach people who attach to material desires, and they go through sufferings. They and then their next birth is based on what they want, what they desire at the end of the life, and based on their karma. For them,
And
cycle.
how about Prabhuji, the Ashtanga Yoga through Karma Mukti path? Not also possible.
This karma mukti path is Ashtanga Yoga, Prabhuji.
No, yeah, through Ashtanga Yoga.
Through Ashtanga Yoga, they can attain.
They
That's
can
why
go to Brahma Jyoti based on their. So how that is getting differentiated, Prabhu? When to, like, because they are anyway having the Paramatma realization in the other path, which is not a Karma Mukti path, which is detached yogi. So they will definitely are seeing the 400 Vishnu form, super
they
soul
are
form.
not seen. Attached yogi is
No, I'm talking about detached yogi, Prabhu. This one.
detached yogi. He is seeing Paramatma, Prabhu.
So then there is no possibility for them to stuck in Brahma Jyoti. But how about the Karma Mukti path? They can or they cannot even. I'm a little confused with that. That's why I'm asking
Yeah,
again and again.
yeah, thank you, Prabhu. Karma mukti path, they will only attain up to Brahman. They will never go to Vaikuntha, Prabhuji.
So
They
then
are
why this arrow is going towards liberation? That means that Brahman realization Mukti, correct?
yes,
That's what you mean.
yes.
Okay.
Liberation is Brahman realization. Enter into Brahma Jyoti, Prabhuji.
Brahma Jyoti. Yeah. And they cannot go forward from Brahma Jyoti to Vaikuntha, correct? Not possible because there is inactivity. They are inert.
Yeah, at one point of time, Prabhupada says from Brahman realization, they can go to Vaikuntha through sadhana, Prabhupada says.
Over there, possibility of sadhana is there, Prabhu, Brahma Jyoti?
They're conscious. They're conscious. They just don't have any material desire. They are very much satisfied. They are floating in Brahman. But um, the soul, whatever they have heard, they know. So they are also, they are conscious living entity. They're not like unconscious. So those who, after going there, feel, oh, I have heard about Vaikuntha. I have heard about form of the Lord. Now I've attained this. And this is very nice. I'm blissful. I'm not, no bliss is there, but I'm eternal. I don't have material desire, but I think that may be true. And then Prabhupada says, whatever they have heard, they can practice there also. And from there they can go also, but generally it's not the case. Because if it's the case, then they would not take that path anyways. They would not give their life to that path anyways. But those who have heard that, that's why Prabhupada says, through a devotee association, they can go to Vaikuntha planet or higher, to Golokvrinda.
But over there, how devotee association is possible, Prabhuji?
Yeah, devotee association on this earth planet.
On this planet, okay, not there.
Yeah.
Correct.
So after going there, they may have that, like they have heard, and they may have that remembrance, and then they can do sadhana. So it's like, we are always conscious now. So there also they can go proper sales, but proper sales, it's more of an exception than a rule.
It's kind of a desire, if still the desire there, like, at that time, they have elevated consciousness or
Ah.
remembrance.
Then
Okay.
yeah, and then they can.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, then
Thank you,
prepare
Prabhuji, for the
Dhamma Shri
session.
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji, one inquiry on the aspect that when we say that the pleasure of this material world is like the pleasure in the dream. So it's a dream means it has no real substance. But while one is in the dream, one is actually like seemingly enjoying the pleasure and pain he's enjoying. Also, we hear that a samsparsha dukha yona evata. So the place of enjoyment becomes a place of the same place misery comes. So I was trying to correlate Prabhuji that when we say the same place is a source of misery, is it only the temporary aspect of that it is like it
Yes,
it
temporary
owns,
aspect.
or is there more into it? Like Prabhuji, we hear that lust is never satisfied. Let's say, so even if one is trying to enjoy from that, it's a source of misery because it's never satisfied. So that way also, it's a
Yes.
place of misery. So both ways, huh? Both ways
Yes,
like that.
Prabhu. One is hankering. A person who is hankering is miserable anyways because he's not satisfied. He's hankering and he's not getting it. Another is he got what he wants, and then by force it's taken away from him, and then he's miserable because he lost what he wants.
Okay, thank you.
And the more the attachment, the more the suffering.
Yes, true. Thank you.
Anything else? Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Prabhuji, in 4 cases, there are 4 types of annihilation, right? So, what happens in at the end of every annihilation and resolution?
There is partial and there is complete annihilation, Mataji. Partial annihilation is at the end of Brahma, complete is at the end of Brahma's life, at the end of Brahma's day. And at the end of Brahma's day, up to Swarglok, everything is destroyed. But Mahalok, Janalok, Taplok, Satyalok remains. At the end of Brahma's life, all the 14 planetary systems are destroyed and the universe is destroyed. And everything merges into the body of Mahavishnu. After partial annihilation, the first 10 planets are destroyed and the living entities there enter into the womb of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. But after the universe is destroyed, along with Garbhodakshaya Vishnu also merges into Mahavishnu and everything merges into Mahavishnu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, one small question. So when partial annihilation happens, so Brahmaji needs to do the Visarga again, like, secondary creation for every day,
Yes,
every morning
yes.
he has to do
Every
that.
morning he gets up and then he laments, oh, I have to do this again, I have to do this
So
again.
here again the tapa thing at that time, every time he does it, or only when the first time he do the creation, at that time he do the tapa, like he heard the tapa word and then he, meditate on see the form and then he do the creation. I just want to understand, Prabhu, so that
Yeah.
every day that happen or once in a life of Brahma might happen.
Yeah, first time Prabhuji. First time he's the only one and he performs tapa because he don't know what to do. And
But on a daily routine, he need not to do. Then he just do the secondary creation till the Swarga Loka.
yeah, because there are billions of living entities already there. 4 planetary systems are there, sages are there, and then he still does a lot of work, but it's only the first time he is alone. Then he
So
has the
for
knowledge.
other every day, then progenation will be taken care. Like he has to worry about that progenation again, like how he did first time, or how that again that creation happened for material beings and trees,
Yeah,
plant, and all different living beings.
yeah, he has to worry. He has to do all the creation, give instructions, Yeah, it's a lot of work. Just like, have you built a home anytime in your life?
Yes.
Is it frustrating and a lot of anxiety and stressful?
Then that's every day is miserable for Brahmaji.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Brahma thinks like, wow, if somebody takes the home, suppose we have all the wealth, suppose, and somebody destroys the whole home and burns the home, and then you have to build everything from scratch, and everything is destroyed when you get up. Then you have to build it again. Then in the night comes, the whole home is destroyed, and you have to do that throughout your life. How wonderful job is that? Correct, right? So it is said that Brahma every day laments, wow, what a creation. And then every day. And for him, one day is just a day. For him, the day is not long. The king Indradyumna went to Brahma for a moment, he came back. From earthly perspective, generations have passed. But when he was there, just a moment. Same with the father of Revati. With Revati, when they went, came back, and everything is, the whole generations are passed by. Then Brahma put Revati to his height because they were very tall. And then Balaramji married Revati. So for him, it's just a moment only. And every day he has to create. So it's very, very challenging for him. That's why Krishna says there is Sukha and Dukha are there, whether we are in Brahmaloka or whether we are here. Everyone has to go through. Nature of this world is pleasure and pains are there. All
Thank
right.
you. Yeah.
Thank you. So quickly, this is the summary of this chapter. Tasma Sarvatmana Rajan, Hari Sarvatra Sarvada, Shrotavya, Kirtitavyascha, Smartavyo, Bhagavan Rinam. O King, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, always and everywhere. Srila Sukadev Goswami begins this word with the word Tasmat, therefore, or Tasmat. He begins with therefore. Because in the previous verse, he has already explained that there is no auspicious means for salvation other than the sublime process of Bhakti Yoga. The Bhakti Yoga process is practiced by the devotees in different methods like hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshipping, which is worshipping the deity form, praying to him, rendering service in love, becoming friendly, offering all that one may possess. All nine methods are bona fide methods, and either all of them or some of them or even one of them can bring about the desired result for the sincere devotee. But out of all the nine different methods, the first one, namely hearing, is the most important function in the process of Bhakti Yoga. Without hearing sufficiently and properly, no one can make any progress by any of the methods of practice. And for hearing only, all the Vedic literatures are there, compiled by authorized persons like Vyasadeva, who is the powerful incarnation of Godhead. And since it has been ascertained that the Lord is the super soul of everything, he should therefore be heard and glorified everywhere and always. That is the special duty of the human being. When the human being gives up the process of hearing about the all pervading personality of Godhead, he becomes victim to hearing rubbish transmitted by man made machines. Machinery is not bad because through the machine one can take advantage of hearing about the Lord, but because machinery is used for ulterior purposes, it is creating rapid degradation in the standard of human civilization. It is said here that mobile phones, laptops, TVs, they are machines and they are bringing about rapid degradation, but they all can be used to hear about the glories of the Lord. It is said here that it is incumbent upon the human beings to hear because the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Shrimad Bhagavatam are made for that purpose. Living beings, there is book Bhagavad and there is devotee Bhagavad. Living beings other than the human beings have no ability to hear such Vedic literatures. If human society, like Prabhupada says, if you tell the dog to always remember Krishna, he cannot do that. If you glorify the dog cannot understand that. But a human being can, and he can remember Krishna and he can understand what is being spoken. So only human beings have the ability to hear such Vedic literatures. If human society gives itself the process of hearing the Vedic literature, it will not become a victim to the impious sound vibration of impious men who degrade the standard of the total society. Hearing is solidified by the process of chanting. So you hear and then you chant, and when you chant, what you have heard makes sense. So hearing is solidified by the process of chanting. One who has perfectly heard from the perfect source, which is Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, becomes convinced about the all-pervading personality of Godhead and thus becomes enthusiastic in glorifying the Lord. All the great acharyas like Ramanuja, Madhva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Saraswati Thakur, his spiritual master, or even in other countries, Muhammad, Christ, and others, have all extensively glorified the Lord by chanting always and in every place, because the Lord is all pervading. You see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was always chanting and always glorifying, and same was Christ, God my Father, same was Muhammad, and same was Ramanujacharya. They glorify the Lord at all places. Because the Lord is all pervading, it is essential to glorify Him always and everywhere. In the process of glorifying the Lord, there should be no restriction of time and space. This is called Sanatana Dharma or Bhagavad Dharma or eternal Dharma. Sanatana means eternal, always and everywhere. Bhagavat means pertaining to Bhagavan, the Lord. The Lord is the master of all time and all space, and therefore the Lord's holy name must be heard, glorified, and remembered everywhere at all time in the world. That will bring about the desired peace and prosperity so eagerly awaited by the people of the world. The word cha includes all the remaining processes or methods of bhakti yoga as mentioned above. Therefore, one should hear about, chant, and glorify and remember the all-pervading, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is after describing the Ashtanga Yoga Karma Kanda section, the essence of this chapter. Okay, so that's all we have for today. If there are no discussion, we are good to end. वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Ananta Koti Vaishnavendra ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If I spoke anything inappropriate, please forgive me as a humble servant. Dandavat pranams. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Thank you
pranam,
so much,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Thank you
Krishna.
very much. Dandavat
Hare
pranams.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Pranam.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you very
Prabhuji.
much,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna. Thank you,
Dandavat
Mataji.
pranam,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.